Okay, turning to Detroit now, Mayor Mike Duggan has finished his first year in office. The mayor will talk about the changes over the past year when he delivers his State of the City speech next Tuesday night. Plus, he'll lay out his plans for the coming year, of course. Now, during his speech last year, the mayor vowed to improve city services. At the top of his list was getting regular trash pickup throughout the city, plus plowing neighborhood streets right after snowstorms, as a lot of people saw this week, and transforming Detroit's bus system into a more reliable and safe mode of transportation. So, does the mayor get high marks for year one? Nolan, I'm going to start with you. What's your report card looking like?
I mean, he gets an asterisk because he really wasn't in charge of everything for most of the year. I think the things he was in charge of did very well. I think in terms of maintaining his own relevance during a time when he could have been shoved into the shadows, he gets really high marks. And, you know, maintaining the confidence of the residents. I still think the residents believe they made the right choice in electing him. So I think on that scale, you've got to give him credit. But, you know, I think this year is probably the more crucial year for him. I mean, you talked about plowing the streets. Detroit schools were shut a day or two longer than most of their suburban counterparts because streets didn't get shoveled, neighborhoods weren't cleared out. So,
all right. So, what's your grade, Stephen?
Yeah, I don't know what the grade is. I think.
Oh, you guys, come on! I've got an asterisk
it's
here.
It's really hard to grade somebody on something that they haven't really completed.
Yeah.
You know, as Nolan pointed out, he wasn't in charge of the entire city for a very long time. I mean, I think you can look at specific areas and say you're starting to see the difference between this administration and past ones. I think one is the district representation system that he's got going. He's got these district managers, and then each of the 7 city council districts working really closely with the council members, but also really connecting with people in the community and addressing the concerns they have. If you go to these meetings that they have in these districts, people stand up and talk about the district manager. That's somebody that they know. And you know, the mayor saying, well, yeah, call that person and we'll get on this problem. I think that's a really, really positive development. But you know, there are so many other problems in the city you know, that we haven't even started to see him tackle yet. It's hard to give him a grade before.
Well, then I don't think you give him an overall grade. Then I think you can start to grade some of the things he's had control over. But I think, to your point of the district managers, I think you can give him an A for the fact that he has had a good relationship with city council. Now, you can say that they haven't had a lot on their plate, or they haven't been in charge of things. But the fact that he's brought some relationship stability there to City Hall that they haven't had in a long time is notable.
Sure. I mean, it's good to have them working together instead of fighting. I think if you were going to give him credit for anything, it's the sense of motion in the city. Yeah. And that's not something that we've always had in Detroit. So, you know, the fact that people believe that things might be going in a better direction is as good a development as you could ask for.
All right, what about blight? Because that has been a huge part of the mayor's first year in office, and talking about targeting certain neighborhoods that have been on the tipping point and making sure that people can get into some homes or auction off some homes there, and giving that incentive money so people can rehab. How do you feel that that's worked so far, Stephen?
I mean, I think that you can grade. I think he gets a B-, maybe C+ for it. The effort has been extraordinary. I think identifying the neighborhoods that are on that brink and trying to, you know, get control of the houses that are in trouble and give them to people who will take care of them. I think they've done a wonderful job with that. The problem there has been values in the city you know, are still so low that the people who are taking these houses are having a hard time financing the renovation and upkeep of them, and so not as many of them have closed as they should, and not as many of them have been fixed up. You know, in terms of other kinds of blight programs, I mean, they are still targeting, you know, these hardest hit neighborhoods with federal money to tear down houses, and that seems to be going well. But there are so many other neighborhoods that don't fall into that category, and the city doesn't have money to tear down houses outside of those federal areas, and nobody knows where that money will come from. So again, it's, you know, it's that asterisk waiting to see what else can develop.
I like the fact that they're trying to save as many houses as possible instead of just tearing down everything. Right. You can't tear down the whole city.
Right.
And so, you know, trying to identify houses that are fit to be rehabbed and get them in the hands of people who might do something with them. That's a good approach. I think that's an innovative approach.
Now, granted, he hasn't been in charge of the police and fire department for very long, but what about public safety? What about the fact, are residents feeling safer, and does that come back onto the mayor?
It depends on who you ask. If you ask James Craig, the police chief, he will say that people tell him all the time how much better they feel about how things are going in the city. But of course, if you look at the rates of crime, not the raw numbers. The raw numbers are down, but the rates are not coming down as much because we continue to lose population. I think there are parts of the city that absolutely feel safer, and people have noticed that. But it's still a really violent place and a really dangerous place. And
Still too many children dying in this city.
Absolutely.
I mean, we had 2 last week, just random incidents. Right. But whether it's some kid playing with a gun that shoots another kid or a drive-by shooter, children are dying in this city.
Yeah.
And
that has
it's
not
one
changed.
of the most. It's one of the deadliest places in the nation, if not the deadliest place in the nation for children.
All right, we have about 40 seconds left. I want to ask each of you, now in this next year, this will be a big year for the mayor. What is the most important thing do you think he needs to concentrate on, Nolan?
He's got to hang on to his population. He's got to stabilize the population. You can't keep fighting against an eroding population base.
All right.
I would say population and schools. He's got a big test on schools coming up. He's got to get control of that.
He won't play on schools
and do something.
All right, we'll see if he talks about that, and we'll be talking about it next